this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make this, what I am calling spring ruffle necklace. It is a netting stitch with an embellishment on the bottom and a little eido embellishment between the top netting stitches on the top here. This is exactly 16 inches long. I'm going to give you the amount of beads that I used for this 16-inch necklace. Of course, you can always make it longer. All you have to do is extend your original netting stitch, your first netting stitch, longer. But you will have to, of course, have more beads. Now I'm going to show you exactly what we'll need for this. Let's move out here. We are going to use for this particular necklace about 115 Super Duo beads. These are the 2.5 by 5 millimeter Super Duos, and the one I'm using is called Lila Luster. You will need 2 colors of fire polish. And let me just say, I don't have the amount of beads out that it takes for this necklace. I just have a few beads out, so don't go by my piles here. My main color, I'm going to need 142 4mm round fire polish. And for my accent color, which is down here in the ruffle, I am going to use a 4mm round, and it's Alexandrite in color. My main color is Aqua Rose Opal, two-tone. Then I will be using an 11/0 seed bead. Now you will need at least 10 to 15 grams. Don't start with anything less for your 11/0 seed bead. This takes quite a few 11/0s. Then you will also need an 8/0 seed bead and a 15/0 seed bead. I am using Toho's galvanized gold permanent finish for all three. They're all 3 Toho's. Then you will need a clasp. I'm using a magnetic clasp. Now if you would like to, you can of course use a different type of clasp. You can use a bigger clasp. You can use whatever you'd like. You can use an extender if you want to make it 16 inches and use a lobster claw and a piece of chain. That'll work just fine too. You will also need a beading needle. I'm using a size 10, and you will need 8-pound Fireline. 6-pound will also work. I just prefer 8-pound. And I'm using an English beading needle. Now let's go ahead and start the netting stitch. So I'm going to use just a Super Duo for a stop bead. I'm just going to bring it down to the end. You will want to have about 2 wingspans of thread on your needle. This takes quite a bit of thread to do netting. I am not going to put that much on my needle right now, just so that you don't have to watch me pull a ton of thread through. And then you will leave a 12-inch tail, which I'm not going to do either because it just gets in my way. So I am going to go back through the same hole in the Super Duo bead, and this is just going to be my stop bead. Now when netting, you add a series of beads to start with, and that's usually the confusing part because it's usually quite a long series of beads. So I'm going to start my series of beads, and I'm going to do it slowly so that I don't confuse you or me. So we are going to start with a fire polish in our main color. Then we're going to start with 2 11/0s, a Super Duo, 2 11/0s, a Super Duo, 2 11/0s, a fire polish, 2 11/0s, and we're going to drop them down to our stop bead. Let's zoom in. So this is what you will have. This is your stop bead here. Don't pay attention to that. You will have a fire polish, 2 11/0s, Super Duo, 2 11/0s, Super Duo, 2 11/0s, fire polish, and 2 11/0s. So we are going to come up through the bottom. Let me get back in the picture here. The bottom Super Duo here. This will be considered the top, where the stop bead is. and just hold everything. It's really shaky and wobbly and weird right now. And pull until you've created a loop. Just like that. Then we need to do the other side of our unit here. So we are going to pick up 2 11-ohs, a Super Duo, and we are going to come up through the second Super Duo. And hopefully not crisscross it and do all kinds of weird stuff. There we go. And they should just lay kind of on top of each other there. And then we need to get up to our top here. So we're just going to pick up 2 11-ohs. This fire polish bead on the very top is our connecting beads. So we're going to go up into it. And pull. And turn the work over so it looks the right direction for you. And this is what we have. This is our first unit. We need to move over so that we can add a fire polish and work down into our beads again. So the way we're going to do that is we are going to pick up 2 11-ohs. Those will be our spacers that will move us over. And then our main fire polish bead that will start our unit. We'll drop them down. Then we will need 2 11-ohs and a Super Duo. And we will come down into this Super Duo bead. And this is what you will have. Do real close. That's what that will look like. And we need to work our way back down. So as we go down, we are going to pick up 2 11-ohs, a Super Duo, 2 11-ohs, a fire polish, and 2 11-ohs. That's what you will have. Drop them down to the Super Duo that you're coming out of. You will then make your loop by coming back up through the second hole in the bottom Super Duo and pull. Now as we're coming up, we can see that we're going to need to add the Super Duo coming up this time. Sometimes we have to add it as we're going down and sometimes as we're coming up. And you will be able to tell just by the way that the beads are lying. So we will pick up 2 11-ohs and a Super Duo. And we will come up through the next Super Duo. And pull. Now we need to make up our way up to our connecting bead. So we will pick up 2 11-ohs and we will come up through the fire polish bead that's already on our work and pull. Then of course we need to space over again and start another unit to connect here. Our spacer is the 2 11-ohs. Our fire polish bead starts the next row. So 2 11-ohs and a fire polish. We need to work our way down into this fire polish. You can tell that you need to add a fire polish this time, otherwise you'll be stretching down too far. So we will pick up 2 11-ohs and a fire polish bead to be our next connector slide through our existing connector, and pull. And now we need to make our loop, our little dangly here. So we will pick up 2 11-ohs, a fire polish bead, 2 11-ohs, 2 11-ohs, a Super Duo and 2 11-ohs, a fire polish bead, 2 11-ohs, drop it down. We will make our loop by coming back through the Super Duo we just put on our work and pull. We need to make our way back up, and this time we will have to add a fire polish bead or a Super Duo as we're coming up. So we need 2 11-ohs, a Super Duo, and come back up through the connecting Super Duo. And that's what you should have. Move out just a little so I'm not constantly out of frame. And now we're going to work our way back up into the fire polish bead that connects us. So we're going to pick up our 2 11-ohs and we're going to come back up through the very top fire polish bead. We need to move over. We will pick up 2 11-ohs. And we need a main bead to work down through, so we pick up a fire polish bead. We need to move down to the area, to this Super Duo, so we will need 2 11-ohs and a Super Duo to take that space. So we need 2 11-ohs and a Super Duo. And we will come down through the Super Duo that's sticking out and pull. This is what it looks like. And it's just very repetitious from here. You can look at your previous unit and know exactly what you need. You will need 2 11-ohs, a Super Duo, 2 11-ohs, a fire polish bead for your loop, and 2 11-ohs to come back up through your fire polish bead you just added. Turn that little guy around and come up through the fire polish bead, or I'm sorry, the Super Duo bead. And now it's fairly obvious what we need again. We will need 2 11-ohs and a fire polish bead to take up the space and keep everything even. So we will pick up 2 11-ohs and a Super Duo. And I don't know why I keep calling these fire polish. I'm sorry. I guess everything's a fire polish bead today. Pick up a Super Duo. And then we will need 2 11-ohs to work back up to our main connection fire polish bead. And again, 2 11-ohs to space us over, a fire polish bead to be our main working out of bead, 2 11-ohs, and a Super Duo. And we will come through the Super Duo. Come here. And then 2 11-ohs, a Super Duo, 2 11-ohs, a fire polish bead, 2 11-ohs, and drop them down. Come up through your Super Duo and create your loop on the bottom. Pick up 2 11-ohs and a Super Duo. And you can always tell if you need one and when you need one because of the pattern it's creating now. Come up through the Super Duo. And this one's hole is closed. But I was able to push through it anyway. Check your Super Duos. I seem to be having issues with that lately. Make sure both holes are open on your Super Duo. It's easiest to do it when you pick it up. Just look at it. And just look at both holes and make sure before you put it on your work. Then pick up 2 11-ohs and come up through your Firepolish bead. Now we have established enough of a pattern that you should be able to continue doing this until you have 69 units, or actually 69, count the bottom Firepolish beads, and keep going until you get 69 of them, or right at 17 inches. If you want to make it longer, of course, you can do more. If you want to make it shorter, you can do less. That's kind of up to your discretion. Once you get 69, I'm now going to show you, because I have my 69 units, I'm going to show you how to do the very last unit, because we need it. We have a little bead sticking out here, and on our first end, we don't. So we need to make that even, and I'll show you what to do on that unit. So we are coming out of the Firepolish bead right here in our last unit, and we will just do as we have been doing all along and pick up our 2 11-ohs, our Firepolish bead, our 2 11-ohs, and come down through the Super Duo. Then we'll go ahead and pick up another Super Duo, 2 11-ohs, a Firepolish bead, or excuse me, a Super Duo, 2 11-ohs, a Firepolish bead, and 2 11-ohs, just as we've been doing all along. Make our loop, come back through our Super Duo, pick up 2 11-ohs, come through the Super Duo, and the only change now is going to be that at this point we would normally add a Super Duo. We're not going to. We're just going to pick up our 2 11-ohs and come up through our top Firepolish bead. And that finishes out our last unit. After we come up back through our Firepolish bead here, we are now going to add our clasp so that we can continue with our next step. And the way we're going to do that is we're just going to pick up 3 11-ohs and then go through one side of our magnetic clasp here, and then 3 more 11-ohs, and come through the Firepolish bead once again on the bottom, on the opposite side, and pull. Now go ahead and sew through all the 11-ohs in the clasp and the 11-ohs in the Firepolish bead in a little circle, and do that 3 to 4 times, and we'll be back. So I have sewn through several times and secured my clasp, and I'm now coming out at the top of the Firepolish bead that I secured my clasp to. I am now going to start adding a little eidos seed bead in between the 11/0s on top of the fire polish beads. The reason we're going to do that is to give it a finished look and also to strengthen and secure the top and curve it, make the necklace have a nice curve. So we will now sew through the two 11/0 seed beads right here. And then we will pick up an eidos seed bead and we will go through the next two 11/0s and pull tight and just pop our little eido right in between them, just like that. One more time. You're coming out of the two 11/0s, pick up an eido and go through the next. And continue to do this the entire length of the necklace, and we will be back. Now I have added the eidos between all the 11/0 seed beads on the very top row. And you can see now that my necklace is cinched in and it's a nice circle. Now a good note, I made mine 17 inches long exactly. This will make me a 16-inch necklace because once I pull the eidos together and tighten everything up, it takes away a lot of that slack that's there when you open up and measure your necklace before it's curved with the eidos. So make sure that you make your necklace an inch longer than you want the finished product. When you measure it without the eidos, it's spread out more. Of course, your clasp is going to add a little bit. So with my clasp and my eidos, this will be probably just perfectly 16 inches. So make sure, like I said, either use it depends on the size clasp you use, also how big your necklace will be. But allow for the cinching in of your necklace. Now, we are going to go ahead and start our next step. First, you want to make sure that your thread is pulled to where all your eidos seed beads are nice and there's no slack. And you also want to make sure that none of your netting is bunched. So don't pull your thread so tight at the end here that you bunch up your netting, because it's very easy to do. And once you have it set, we are going to start down here where our tail is. We're just going to leave our tail for our clasp. I'll extend mine, it's very short. But I am not going to add my clasp yet. I'm going to use my working thread to continue with my embellishments. So I'm going to come down through the fire polish bead and just sew down through the outside. Get you closer here. Come down through the fire polish bead from where I'm exiting out my last 11/0 seed bead, and then I'm just going to sew through my very last row of beads here. And as you do this, make sure that you don't pull your top embellishment really tight and bunch things. Just come through all of the beads on the outside. Your very first row of beads you added. And then we will come through this fire polish bead here. After you've come through the fire polish bead on the bottom here, you will pick up an 11/0, a 15, our other color of fire polish, and a 15, and an 11. This is what you'll have. And then you will come from the fire polish bead you're exiting into the next fire polish bead. And then again, you will pick up an 11/0, a 15, and a fire polish bead, a 15, and an 11/0, this, and come from the fire polish bead that you are in into the next fire polish bead. Continue this embellishment the entire length of your necklace. Make sure at this point that your netting is not bunched also, because this is setting your thread from your last embellishment. So go ahead and just add your new embellishment all the way to the end, and we'll be back. Now I have done a few of my last embellishment here, my ruffle, and you can see how the beads are starting to stand on edge. That's how you want them to be. Don't pull them so tight that they pull and clump, but make sure that they are just gentle tension so that it stands the edges up kind of like a doily. And that's the effect that you want. Now if you're using something other than a fire polish bead, something that's a little less oval, then you may want to use 2 15s instead of an 11, a 15, a 15, and an 11 around the sides of your little embellishment beads, or whatever you use, if you use a pearl. And perhaps on this, if you find that it doesn't work, you may even want to try a bicone. A 4 millimeter should work. If it doesn't, perhaps a 3 millimeter will work fine. But you should be able to get this effect just as long as you are able to adjust your little beads on either side. I have finished putting my last embellishment on and making my ruffle. And as you can see, it's ruffled up really nicely. It lays really pretty on the neck. It just looks like a nice little doily ruffle. It's just cute as can be. Now I am coming out of the very last fire polish bead after doing my embellishment. And I'm just going to sew up through the 11 O's and the Super Duo. And I'm just going to find a way to tie off because I don't need my working thread anymore. I am going to use my tail to sew on the other half of my clasp. So I'm just going to come up all the way through the top here. Now I'm coming out of this fire polish bead, and I am going to grab the thread bridge between the 11 O's and the fire polish here, and I'm going to make a half hitch knot, trying not to involve anything else in my knot here. And just pull right there. And then I'm just going to sew back down and sew through my work a little bit. And then if we just follow our path that we originally went on, and just go down and around and back up, and you can tie off a couple half hitch knots if you'd like, and then cut off your working thread, and then we'll be back to add the other half of our clasp. Okay, so I have sewn through and tied off my working thread, and now I have put my needle onto my tail thread, and I am coming out of, I took off my stop bead, and I'm coming out of the fire polish bead that we very first started with, and we're going to do exactly what we did on the other side. We're going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads, take the other half of our clasp, thread it through, drop it down, 3 more 11-0 seed beads, sew through the bottom of our fire polish bead, and pull. And now, just like we did on the other side, just sew through all the beads and the clasp and the fire polish bead, and then after you've secured that several times, sew through your work and tie it off just like you did the other side. And we'll be back. Okay, so I wanted you to see what this looks like on the neck. If you make it a little longer, it won't hug quite as tight, but it is just a little, very feminine, little ruffly, cute little thing that just just is a real nice springy little touch. If you make it longer, of course, you can make it lie down here. But I've made mine collar-ish, so it's very close and tight. Well, not tight, of course, but it's very close to the base of my throat. And this is what it looks like finished. Let's get close so you can see it. It's quite a pretty little thing. Very different. And kind of Eastery with the little pastel colors and such. So there's your little spring ruffle. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have fun making your own little ruffle, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.